I never expected that night to change everything. It was late, the city quiet except for the occasional car passing on the street below. I was sitting on the edge of his bed, pretending to scroll through my phone, while he paced slowly, restless. "You're nervous," he said suddenly, stopping mid-step. His voice was soft, yet sharp enough to cut through my attempt at indifference. I tried to shrug, but my hands betrayed me. "I'm fine," I murmured. He laughed, low and warm, the kind of laugh that always had the effect of making my chest twist. "You're not," he said bluntly, leaning against the wall and crossing his arms. "You never are. Not with me." I swallowed, fighting the heat rising in my cheeks. He always saw right through me. Always. And tonight, the vulnerability in his gaze made me feel exposed in a way I wasn't ready for. "I'm tired," I lied, glancing down at my phone. "It's been a long day." He shook his head, not believing me, and I hated that he could tell. "It's not just that," he murmured, stepping closer. The air between us thickened instantly. "I can feel it. Every look, every hesitation. Don't think I don't notice." My heart thudded against my ribs. I wanted to tell him, to confess all the feelings I'd buried for years. The longing, the late-night thoughts, the way my stomach twisted every time he brushed against me. But the words stuck in my throat. "Maybe some things are better left unsaid," I said finally, trying to sound casual. He tilted his head, eyes narrowing with a mix of amusement and challenge. "Some things are worth saying," he said softly. And then, without another word, he came closer, sitting down beside me. I tried to stay composed, tried to pretend nothing was happening. But the closeness, the warmth radiating from him, made my pulse spike. I could smell the faint scent of his cologne, feel the brush of his sleeve against mine, and my entire body betrayed me. He reached out, his fingers brushing mine lightly. Just a touch, but it sent sparks shooting up my arm. I didn't pull away. I couldn't. "I shouldn't be doing this," he whispered, his voice barely audible. "But I can't stop myself." I looked at him, searching for meaning. My chest ached, a mix of longing and fear. "Doing what?" I asked, even though I knew the answer. "Feeling this," he said simply. "Feeling you." My stomach flipped. I wanted to lean into him. I wanted to tell him that I'd been feeling the same thing, that I'd been longing for this exact closeness for months. But a thought flickered through my mind. What if it changed everything? What if we lost what we had? And then he said it, soft but firm, a command that made my heartbeat skip. "Keep it secret." Those 3 words sent a thrill through me. He leaned closer, just enough that our shoulders touched, just enough that the warmth of him seeped into me. "Whatever happens tonight, no one else can know." I nodded, unable to speak, because words weren't enough. My whole body was alert, aware of him, and I felt the danger in the secrecy, and the allure. He smiled, a mischievous, almost teasing curl of his lips. "Good," he murmured, "because I don't plan on letting go." And then he reached out, brushing a strand of hair from my forehead, and I realized I was lost. Lost in the closeness, the tension, the unspoken promises hanging heavy in the air. The days that followed were a blur of stolen glances, subtle touches, and unspoken tension. Every time we met, there was a crackling energy between us that no one else could sense. At work, at the cafe where we always grabbed coffee, even walking side by side down the street. Every brush of his hand against mine, every laugh that lingered too long, made my heart beat faster. I tried to act normal, tried to push the thoughts away, but it was impossible. And then one night, we ended up alone again. Not planned, just circumstances, but it felt deliberate, like fate had handed us this private bubble. We sat side by side on his couch, the soft glow of the lamp painting everything gold. I could feel his leg lightly brushing mine, and it made me hyper-aware of every nerve, every inch of my skin. He turned to me suddenly, his eyes locking on mine. "You've been avoiding me," he said softly, but there was an edge in his tone that made my stomach flip. "I haven't," I lied, trying to sound casual, but my voice cracked. "You have," he said bluntly, and I felt the honesty in his gaze cut straight through me. "I can see it. Don't even try to hide it." I looked away, my throat tight. I didn't know how to tell him how much I wanted this, how much I'd been craving him for months without even admitting it to myself. "Why are you looking at me like that?" he asked, voice gentle now, almost teasing. I swallowed hard. "Like what?" "Like, you're about to tell me a secret." And maybe I was. Maybe everything I'd kept hidden for so long was about to slip out. But fear held me back. Fear of judgment, fear of losing the friendship, fear of exposing myself so completely. He reached over, his hand brushing mine again, lingering this time. The touch wasn't casual. It wasn't just friendly. It was deliberate, a message that said more than words ever could. "You don't have to hide it," he whispered. "Not from me." The words made my chest tighten. I wanted to reach out, to take his hand fully in mine, to bridge the invisible barrier that had always existed between us. But I hesitated. I can't, I stammered. If I do this, it changes everything." He nodded slowly, understanding, but there was a glint in his eye that made my pulse quicken. "I know. That's why it has to stay secret. Just between us." The thrill of secrecy, combined with the closeness of him, was intoxicating. My heart pounded, my palms sweated, and I felt a warmth that wasn't just from the lamp's glow. I wanted him, not in some reckless way, but in a way that consumed every thought I had. He leaned closer, the air between us charged, almost electric. "Do you want me?" he asked, soft, almost vulnerable. My stomach flipped. The words were everything I'd been yearning to hear, yet terrifying. My voice caught in my throat. "Yes," I whispered. He smiled, a mixture of triumph and tenderness, and I felt my entire body respond. He shifted closer, so close that our shoulders pressed together, our hands brushing again. Every nerve in my body was alive, every thought centered on him. "I've been waiting for you to say that," he murmured, his breath brushing my cheek. "You have no idea how long I've been holding back." I closed my eyes, letting the words sink in. The confession, though quiet, was like fire running through my veins. All the longing, all the tension, all the months of unspoken feelings culminated in this moment of quiet intensity. Why now?" I asked softly, my lips trembling. "Because I couldn't anymore," he replied, his voice low, honest. "I've tried to ignore it. I've tried to stay friends. But every time I see you, every time we're alone, it's unbearable. I need this. Need you." My breath hitched. "I need you too," I admitted. And just like that, the unspoken barrier shattered. The closeness that had been simmering between us boiled over. We leaned into each other, not in reckless abandon, but in an intimate, deliberate way, shoulders touching, hands brushing, hearts beating in tandem. The air felt thick with emotion, desire, and secrecy. He pressed a gentle kiss to my forehead, a lingering touch that sent shivers down my spine. "Keep it secret," he murmured again. "No one can know. Not yet. Not until we're ready." I nodded, heart hammering. "I won't tell anyone," I whispered, feeling the weight of the promise and the thrill of the forbidden. We stayed like that for hours, talking quietly, sharing stories and laughter, interspersed with moments of tender closeness. Every time our hands met, every time our shoulders brushed, it was electric. Every moment was charged with the kind of intimacy that went beyond friendship, the kind that was dangerous and thrilling and utterly consuming. By the time the night ended, I realized two things. I was completely, irrevocably in love with him, and he felt the same. The secrecy didn't feel like a burden. It felt like a bond, a shared world where only we existed. The secret between us grew heavier with every passing day. It was thrilling, intoxicating, and terrifying all at once. Every time we were together, there was a tension that hummed beneath the surface, a closeness that felt almost illicit, and every time we parted, I felt a hollow ache, like a part of me had been left behind with him. It was on a rainy afternoon that everything finally came to a head. We were walking home together after a late shift, the streets slick with rain, reflections of neon lights dancing in puddles. We were both soaked, hair plastered to our foreheads, jackets clinging uncomfortably to our bodies. And yet, despite the chill, there was a warmth radiating between us, a heat born of anticipation, longing, and months of buried feelings. He stopped under the awning of a closed cafe, pulling me close, shielding me from the rain. Our faces were inches apart, and for a moment, the world fell away. It was just us, the rain, the city, the secret we carried, and the undeniable pull we felt toward each other. "I can't keep doing this," I admitted, voice trembling. "I can't keep pretending that nothing's happening between us." He reached up, brushing a wet strand of hair from my face, his fingers lingering on my cheek. "I know," he murmured. "Neither can I." The vulnerability in his eyes, the raw honesty of his words, made my heart feel like it would burst. All the longing, the secrecy, the stolen glances and quiet touches came flooding back at once. I wanted him. Not just for a fleeting thrill, not for a secret shared in darkness. I wanted him. All of him. I love you, I whispered, my voice barely audible over the patter of the rain. His eyes widened slightly, then softened. I love you too, he admitted, voice low and steady. I've loved you for a long time. That's why I made you promise to keep it secret. Because I wasn't ready for anyone else to know. I wasn't ready to admit it myself. The honesty, the intimacy, it was almost too much to bear. I leaned into him, pressing my forehead against his, feeling the warmth of his body, the steady beat of his heart. The rain fell around us, but inside this small bubble, it was silent, safe, ours. We stood there for what felt like hours, holding each other, letting the world exist somewhere else. Every brush of his hand, every soft murmur, every lingering gaze, was charged with months of pent-up longing. The secrecy no longer felt like a burden. It felt like a shield, a private universe where only our feelings mattered. I want to be with you, he said softly, breaking the comfortable silence. Not just in secret. Not just when it's convenient. I want us, all of us. I smiled, heart swelling with emotion. I want that too, I admitted. I've been waiting for you to say it. His hands cupped my face, thumbs brushing my cheekbones tenderly. Then we don't need to hide anymore, he said, a small smile tugging at his lips. We can take our time. We can figure it out together. The relief and joy that washed over me were overwhelming. I laughed softly, a sound of pure happiness, and he joined me, our laughter mingling in the rain, echoing in the empty streets. It was like we had reclaimed a piece of ourselves, finally acknowledging the depth of what we felt. As we walked home, drenched and laughing, our hands found each other's naturally. Fingers intertwined, hearts beating in sync, and I felt a sense of belonging I had never experienced before. The secret was no longer a weight. It was the bridge that had brought us here, to this moment of honesty, vulnerability, and love. By the time we reached my apartment, the rain had slowed to a drizzle, leaving a fresh, clean scent in the air. We stood at the doorway, hands still clasped, staring at each other with soft smiles and eyes that spoke volumes. I'm glad we kept it secret, he said quietly. It made me realize just how much I wanted this. How much I wanted you. I leaned into him, resting my forehead against his chest. Me too, I whispered. And now, we don't have to hide anymore. Not from each other, and not from ourselves. He wrapped his arms around me, holding me tight, and for a long while, we just stayed like that, letting the world exist somewhere else, letting the rain wash away the past and make room for the future. I love you, he whispered again, his voice warm and steady. I love you too, I replied, a smile spreading across my face. And I'm never letting you go. In that moment, with the rain falling softly around us, hands entwined, hearts open, I knew that the secret had been worth it. Every stolen glance, every suppressed confession, every lingering touch had led us here. To this. To each other. We had crossed the line from friendship into something more. Something profound, something real. And we would face the world together, holding tight, no longer afraid, no longer pretending. Because sometimes, the best things in life are worth keeping secret. At first, until the right moment comes to make them ours. And for the first time in a long time, I felt complete.